welcome back to the Welsh Premiership podcast and our weekly review show. And this is the first review of the regular Premiership season this year. Obviously, we had the Cup first and the first round of games in the Premiership last weekend. So it's all the start of the Thursday night games on telly on S4C Click, on YouTube, I should say. And we had Aberavon v Swansea in a bit of a derby down there on telly. And Aberavon came away 28-13 winners. Boys, what were your thoughts on that one? It's on the outset of it, it's not a bad result for Swansea, is it? We know how strong Aberavon were coming into the tournament and how much Swansea struggled. But Swansea just got battered up front, didn't they? Aberavon never looked like losing the game, and I think they scored a few tries towards the end, which put them a little bit out of sight. So what were your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, well, like you said, apart from the scrums, I thought it was quite a competitive game, to be fair. Swansea looked good with ball in hand. They made quite a few breaks. Just couldn't finish them off, really, could they? But no, if you can't win your own scrums, you're never going to win the game, are you? Like, Aberavon, they got one hell of a pack. And even missing Rowan Jenkins and Geraint James, who were with Cardiff in the Heineken Cup, they still performed well in the scrums and got a deserved win.
Yeah, it was a result I think we all expected, and maybe the performance we expected from the size of the Aberavon pack. But credit to Swansea as well. They were in the game for the first 60 minutes maybe on the score sheet, and they put up a good fight. I don't think many people were probably expecting them to give Aberavon that much of a game. But yeah, it's a solid start for Aberavon and a bonus point to get them going.
Yeah, and I think they got, was it 2 or 3 yellow cards as well, due to obviously being battered up front. I think a couple in the scrum and one in the maul as well, wasn't it? So you can never really build a platform off that, can you? But I think, as you mentioned, Ad, I think the outside backs for Swansea were really exciting, but you can't rely on a bit of magic from outside backs to win a game. You've got to have a platform for them to build off. Moving on to the second game then, and Llandovery against RGC. And I think we all predicted this was going to be quite competitive last week. Obviously, Llandovery finished top of the Western Conference at the Prem Cup. RGC started poorly in the Prem Cup, but had picked up a bit of form coming into the tail end. But it was anything but, really, wasn't it? 32-3 win for Llandovery at home. And where does that leave RGC?
I don't think you can really read too much into a defeat away to Llandovery. Obviously, Llandovery are probably one of, if not the best team in the league, I'd say. Obviously, they topped the Western group, didn't they? Maybe the margin of the scoreline's a little bit surprising, but I'm sure RGC will come good. I don't think you can read too much into a heavy defeat to Llandovery.
Yeah, I think that's about right with everything. I think we did think it'd be a closer game, but it was tough conditions, as well, and the strength of the Llandovery pack they had, and they performed, 30 odd points. It's not the end of the world, and I think RGC will improve from it. If we look back at the Cup, the first game, I think they shipped 60 odd points, and the next thing they were beating Newport and teams like that. So, they'll come back from it. Yeah, a tough defeat, but they'll learn from it, definitely.
I agree with you there. We do know they have the sort of the character to come back from that, and and it did show in the Cup, didn't it, that they have something to build off now. Really, the only way is up there. Obviously, only scoring 3 points away is not ideal, but we know they can definitely come back from that and pick up some good results, can't they? Moving on then to Merthyr against Ebervale at the Wern, and I think this kind of went the way we predicted. Merthyr come away 31-13 winners against Ebervale. Tobias, are you shocked by that at all?
Not really, to be honest. I think Merthyr are looking really strong the last few weeks, especially towards the end of the Cup. And then last week again, Ebbw didn't play badly. They looked decent under Jason Strange back to the club, obviously. But some strong performances in that Merthyr team. I know up front they dominated. I think Craig Locke was outstanding. And the backs finished off a good few tries, so it's a good result and strong to get them going.
Yeah, and I know Ebervale's youngsters now who in the Prem Cup, we said they were sort of trying to build a team around. I think they really did step up against Merthyr. I know everyone was impressed with like Joe Westwood again, a couple of the other young players. So I think Ebervale are sort of building that young spine of the team, and I think they're getting better with every game they play. Obviously, started with Greg Woods, who obviously left, but with Jason Strange now, maybe someone with some different thoughts, fresh ideas, I think they can continue to build and grow. And I think Ebervale will only get better the more these youngsters play. Obviously, we know they got some experienced heads around them as well with John Evans and like Dav Howells as well. So yeah, they can only get better really, and we expect them to probably get better as the tournament goes on, don't we?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and obviously it was Jason Strange's first game. He's not going to be able to implement his new ideas overnight, is he? It's going to take time. It'll be a process, and yeah, I'm sure as the season goes on, they'll pick up some good wins.
Moving on then to Newport against Bridgend, and this was another one we thought might be a little bit tighter. Obviously, Newport finished top of the Eastern Conference. Bridgend were another team that struggled initially in the competition, but they managed to pick up a few decent wins throughout the competition. But yeah, 25-9 win against Bridgend for Newport, and yeah, I think many people could have predicted that really. Newport, such a strong side, so strong at home, and I know they really pride themselves on their set piece. They're driving maul, and I think they took Bridgend apart with that again, as they've done to many teams in the Prem Cup this year. So yeah, Tobias, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, like you said, I think it was the result they haven't expected, but I don't think the score reflected on the game, if I'm totally honest. I think Newport could have scored easily another 20, 30 points if they were on their A game. I don't think they were at their best, but they've come away with a win. But yeah, that driving line out is insane at the minute. I think they just tore apart the Bridgend line out, set piece. Bridgend struggled all around the park, to be honest. And Newport pack especially, as a unit, I think the man-to-man, they're outstanding. The back rowers, yeah, like we said, the scrum set piece of the line out, they're a top side now, and yeah, they could have scored a lot more points.
Moving on then to the final game, and Pontypridd against Carmarthen Quins. And Ad, I know you went to this game, and Carmarthen Quins actually outscored them 3-1, was it?
Yeah.
And but Pontypridd amazingly came away 31-24 winners, and that was largely in part to Diggy Bird, wasn't it? How impressed were you with him? And yeah, how did the game go?
Yeah, I thought he was brilliant. Obviously, he's come back to help Ponty out because Burnell's, suffered a serious injury a few weeks ago. But no, his kicking was outstanding. I think he scored 7 kicks. I think he missed one, which hit the post. But yeah, Quinn's ill discipline really cost them the game. But no, fair play to Ponty. You have to get in positions to win those penalties, and then you've got to kick them as well. And that's what Diggy Bird did. I thought he was outstanding.
Yeah, obviously Quins did manage to score 3 tries though. Were they impressive in attack? Because they normally throw the ball around, quite impressive in attack. So did they stand out in that?
Yeah, well, the first try they scored through scrum half, Rodri Davis, really well worked backs move, cut Ponty open, to be honest, and then Rodri Davis went over. But in all fairness, they didn't really get too much of the ball in dangerous positions. Their ill discipline really cost them, and Ponty seemed to keep them pinned down in the other half, and yeah, they really couldn't get going then.
Yeah, and obviously the last game of the week was called off, Llanelli against Cardiff, due to so many Cardiff players being called up for Cardiff rugby in Europe. Boys, did you see any of that game? And yeah, how good is it to see so many of these Premiership youngsters playing regional rugby?
Yeah, well, I've got to be honest, I didn't see any of the game because I was at Ponty, but no, it's great to see them, playing, and I heard that quite a few of the youngsters in particular did really well. Cabango, Jacob Beetham, and I know he did get sent off, but we won't talk about that. But no, yeah, it's great to see them playing, and it'll only help them in their development, really, won't it?
Yeah, I watched the game back, and credit to the boys. I don't think you couldn't tell that they're only semi-pro or academy youngsters. They look happy at that level. They put good shifts in. Fair play to them, and even the boys like maybe Rowan Jenkins, Gareth James, who was played for Abraham for years at semi-pro level, stepping up to that level, were outstanding as well. It's a great experience for them, and I know a lot of them again are playing this weekend, so it's another reward for them to go to the English champions this time, Harlequins, and take them on.
All right, then. We're putting this out a little bit late on today, Friday, of course, and there's already been a game this week. So we'll quickly talk about that. I know you two both watched it live on S4C Click last night. And Llanelli coming to Carmarthen Quins. Obviously, Carmarthen off the back of a disappointing away defeat last week. And Llanelli obviously didn't have a game because their game was called off against Cardiff. Boys, what happened in that game?
Yeah, well, obviously Quins came out with a bonus point in the end, didn't they? But it really took them an hour to get going. And, fair play to Llanelli. First half, they played really well, defended well, looked good with ball in hand. And I genuinely thought at halftime they were going to go on and win it. But like that head coach said, like you can tell they've been competitive. It's the first time I've seen them this season, but he was right in what he said. Like they've been competitive. They just haven't seen games out. That's what happened last night. And as soon as Quins sort of sensed they could get something from the game, they really went for it. And they scored 4 tries in quick succession.
Yeah, unfortunately for Llanelli it's the same thing's happened all season. They have been involved in games for 60 minutes. They were probably the best side for 60 minutes last night, and then went off the ball for 20 minutes. But fair play to Quins, they spotted their chance. They scored 4 tries. I think Steph Marshall come on at 10 as well, changed the game. I think he really brought a bit of pace, some good kicking. He set up a couple of tries. So I think that was a game changer, bringing him on quite early. But yeah, it's unfortunate for Llanelli. Probably one of the best performances they've had this season. But again, to come away with nothing from it hurts.
Do you think Llanelli, obviously, they're semi-pro rugby players and they'll be disappointed not to come away with a win, but do you think they're realistic about their ambitions? Obviously, they're disappointed to not come away with a win, but do you think they'll be not happy, but proud of the fact that they did manage to take Quins, who are a really good side, for 60 minutes? Or do you think they will just be really disappointed that they're not managing to see these games out and get a result?
I think a bit of both, really. Like, they did play well for 60 minutes and there's definitely positives to take. But on the other hand, they have lost 11 games in a row now. So, it is hard to be optimistic when you've lost that amount of games. But like I keep saying, they did play well. It's just they need to see these games out. And I'm sure if they get one win, then they'll go on to pick up a few more.
Yeah, I think as well, if you look inside the camp, I know we spoke to a couple of players now over the past few weeks, and they still seem positive about the way training is going, the way they're playing. It's not as if they're downbeat and they don't think anything's going to come of it. I think they are improving still, from the first couple of weeks of the Cup. And realistically, I think they know deep down there's probably 3 or 4 games they're really going to target now in the league that they think they'll be able to get a few wins in.
And I think they could do, obviously, it's easy to sit here and say, but I think they could do with a few more experienced Premiership players. Obviously, they haven't got the biggest budget, but I think that's what they really lack in, just to help see them through these games, and then a bit more experience help close games out for them, I think.
Yeah, moving on to Saturday's fixtures then, and we'll start off with a big one: Aberavon against Newport at the Talbot Athletic Ground. Obviously, Newport first in the Eastern Conference of the Prem Cup, Aberavon second in the end in the Western Conference. Adam, you looking forward to that one? That's obviously going to be a massive game down there, isn't it?
Yeah, really looking forward to it. And it'll be a good indication of where both teams are, because it's the first time Aberavon would have played a team from the Eastern Conference. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm sure it'll be a good crowd down at the Talbot Athletic Ground, and hopefully a good advert for the league as well.
Yeah, I think on paper, maybe it's probably, the game of the week, the game of the season so far. It's 2 top quality sides, finished in the playoffs in the Cup, coming to get up against each other. We know what Newport can do up front, but then Aberavon, if you look at them last week, they're a massive pack. They can play against probably anyone. And it's 2 good experienced backlines as well. So I think it's the exciting encounter, and hopefully, it'll be worth the watch.
Yeah, it's you look at Aberavon, obviously we mentioned Rowan Jenkins, Geraint James being with Cardiff Rugby, and you think, they've lost probably their two of their best props to regional rugby, and you think any team in the Prem would struggle, and then you got Aberavon, you got obviously Reece James played the majority of the cup game. Reece Fawcett, sorry, played the majority of the cup games. Ex-regional player as well. Really strong scrummager, really sturdy, and Chris Davis as well, who played really well last week, didn't he? And he played, I think, 2 or 3 games in the cup, and he was behind Geraint James, but I thought he came up last week and he was really strong in the scrum, and they don't seem to be missing Rowan and Geraint today. They seem to have replaced them, may even be better with Fawcett and Davis in there. So yeah, I think Aberavon's strength and depth is scary, but so is Newport's, and I think it really could go either way. Could I push you for a prediction, either of you?
Newport by 5.
Yeah, I think I'm very similar there. Newport by 3, I'll say.
Moving on then, and Ebervale hosting Llandovery at the Glass Community Stadium. Now, this looks like a bit of a mismatch on paper, doesn't it? Ebervale really struggled. Llandovery been really, really strong throughout the cup and obviously last week as well. Ebervale got a few experienced names back on the bench. Ross Jones back on the bench. Obviously fan favourite at Ebu, who moved to Pontypool, started this season, well, retired first and then signed for Pontypool, and he's ended back up at Eugene Cross, and I don't think he'll ever leave there, to be honest. And Reece Jones as well back on the bench, which he'll be massive for Ebervale, won't he, for if they want to achieve any good results, because he is a quality 10, one of the best in the leagues, ex-regional player as well. But yeah, it does look like a mismatch, obviously, Llandovery going down there. So what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, like you said, Llandovery are obviously favourites, aren't they? But I don't think you can, write off Ebervale, especially at Eugene Cross Park. Passionate fan base behind them. I'd be surprised if they won, but I think it'd be closer than people think. I'd say Llandovery by about 10 to 15 points.
Yeah, I think it's a massive ask for Ebervale, if I'm honest. The run they've been on, I think they haven't won since the second week of the cup. I know it's a new management in now, they're trying to change things up. There was slight improvements last week, but I think the confidence is down in a minute. Obviously, these new boys come in, hopefully will help that. But the way Llandovery been playing, to put 30 odd points on RGC is a good performance. And that's without some of the performances they've had in the cup. So I think Llandovery will come away pretty easy winners there.
Do you expect kind of like the same arc that RGC took in the Prem Cup? Obviously, they struggled under new management with Kerry Jones, but they did build towards the end of the Prem Cup, didn't they? So do you expect sort of the same with RGC now, going through a bit of a transition period?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm expecting.
Yeah, I meant Everton.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm expecting, to be honest. Like I said earlier, it's not going to be an overnight process. He's not going to come in and immediately start getting results. It's going to take time. He'll, put his own stamp on things, and I don't think it'd be too long before they start improving and picking up results.
And the last game then of the Prem this week, because obviously we've had 2 postponed ones that we'll talk about in a bit. RGC hosting Pontypridd up in North Wales, and obviously this is a replay of a game that was called off in the cup. They still got to play that cup game in January, and we know that cup game will be a straight shootout. Whoever wins that will be in the knockout rounds of the cup. So how important is this one to both teams, Ad?
Yeah, really important. I think there was talk of actually doubling up, so this game would be league and cup, but Welsh Rugby Union said no. When they played each other in the cup at Sardis, I think Ponty won by a few points, wasn't it? It was a really high scoring game.
Yeah.
So yeah, it shows both teams have got intent to attack, and hopefully another high scoring encounter like that with but yeah, I'm not sure who'll come out on top, to be honest. I'd probably say RGC by 1 score. But then again, they did have a disappointing performance last week, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't think RGC are gonna perform like that again this week. They know what Ponty can bring, and they know they can give Ponty a game. I think RGC will be well up for it. obviously Ponty, I know Diggy Bird's not available for them this week, so that'll be a massive loss compared to what he did for them last week. So I think RGC probably are going in favourites, with the home crowd, the Park Areas as well, and coming off that defeat, they want to turn things around. I think I fancy RGC there.
Yeah, and as I mentioned then, we got 2 postponed games this week, and we'll start off with Swansea against Cardiff, obviously postponed because of Cardiff's European call-ups. Not too much to say about that one, really, just apart from good luck to, obviously, the Prem boys playing in Europe again. It's a great experience for them, and even though it's come because of, obviously, all the mess that happened with Cardiff Rugby in South Africa, it is great for them to get an opportunity. And as we've seen last week, they've been grabbing that opportunity and showing that these youngsters can compete with regional teams, even like coming from the Prem. And I think it must show that the Prem's doing something right in the nurturing these players. Sorry. Second game then, Bridgend against Merthyr, and I was actually quite looking forward to this one. I thought this would have been quite a good game. Merthyr look really strong at the moment. Bridgend were poor last week, but I think this is one of the games where I think Bridgend could have got a shock result in, because even though Merthyr are looking strong and Bridgend were poor last week, I don't know. It's just one of the games I could just see Bridgend turning up and getting a scalp in, but unfortunately, the game's been called off because of COVID in both camps, I think. Tobias, can you tell us any more on that one?
Yeah, I think, obviously with everything going on with this new variant and things, I think a lot of clubs around Wales are struggling with it. And I know Bridgend have had a few cases, and I think Merthyr have had a couple in the last few days. So it's a sensible decision, to be honest. We don't want to get any worse. So unfortunately, the game is off. But we're hoping to reschedule it for a sooner day. Yeah,
and obviously we just hope anyone that's got obviously the new variant or COVID at all in either camp just gets better soon and is back on the pitch soon, playing in the Prem. That's a wrap for this week's review show then. Thanks for joining us. Just one game covered on Saturday with Yask and Thomas going to the big clash between Aberystwyth against Newport, so keep an eye on our social media at Welsh Prem Pod for that. And we'll be back next week on Wednesday, hopefully, for another review of the games this weekend. And we'll be back with a guest podcast soon as well. So keep an eye on our social media. Thanks to our sponsors, Lekker Food Co. as well. And we'll see you next week.